Welcome to the Rebuild, boys. Your host, Anthony Thompson, founder of Divorce Dads of America. This is the place where you defy the odds. Defy the odds of divorce, transform your life in the next generation. We're looking at 1 million dads to transform. Now, if you haven't subscribed to this podcast, subscribe. Why? Why does this matter? Look, if you like something, if it's hit, the subscribing part ultimately is all algorithm based. If it's helpful for you, it can be helpful for another dad. Clicking subscribe or writing a review literally expands this thing, like blows your mind expansion. I believe that there's going to be 1 million dads that are going to transform. If that's you, if you feel like that's hit, something's been helpful, just drop a sub. Drop a sub. Just drop one. Bear down, Chicago Bears. If you're watching this, they're in first place at some point. I don't know when this gets released, but when it does, at this current point, they're in first place. I'm wearing my hat. That's what we do here when you got one of those losing teams that somehow miraculously starts winning. It's called a miracle, and we roll with it. So today, listen closely. I'm going to break down a little bit of a 7-figure dad that I was working with that almost lost everything while he was trying to get to 8. And ultimately, he was at 7, and he was almost slipping to 6. So I want to give you guys some things, some practical tips, almost a case study on what the heck, what do we do? You know, like, when you show up here and somebody's like, oh, he's a coach, or what does he do? Like, how does this work? And I don't even like the word coach. I like the word partner. When I work with somebody, we're a partner. We're a partnership. We're doing this thing together to get you to where you want to go, to stop stupid stuff, to start great things, to get your head where you need to get to first. Whether it's money, whether it's mindset, whether it's dad life, your mission, your future, all those things. So let me get into it. I'm gonna break down some of the stuff that was going on with him. Maybe that's some of the stuff that's going on with you. Obviously, we're gonna dive into some of the scripture side of it, the neuroscience side, some of the data, so that you can understand that, you know, this isn't just, you know, a unicorn that shows up on your front door and you order it, you know, from Uber Eats. This is like real strategies and systems. Many of you know that I work through something called the FAST system. I'm gonna break that down toward the end. If you're new here, I'm going to give you some questions you can take away so that this isn't just like a pump and dump for you. Like, I want you to do work, man. Like, if you want to transform your life, this stuff sucks and you're not going to like it, man. Whatever got you here to this point, just basically look at it, be like, you got me to this point, but you can't get me to this next point. It's great. There's great lessons you've learned. But you've got to upgrade to get to where you want to go next. If you want to defy the odds of divorce, and I strongly recommend that every single dad listens to that divorce episode about the statistics, because that's what you're up against, and that's what you're becoming if you don't change. If you don't change, if you don't transform like crazy, you are the statistic, and your children will be the statistic. Period. Let's dig into it. Buckle up. Every divorced dad I coach says the same thing, that I want more money so I can give my kids more, right? Or want to be more generous, or more freedom, more time. Here's the truth most men never say out loud. More revenue doesn't matter if your kids lose you in the process. More revenue doesn't matter if you're a ghost. Where's dad? I don't know. What's he doing? I don't know. Or when you are there, you're just buried in your phone, or you're disheveled in different ways. So I want to break down a case study. 7-figure business owner. He wanted to make, you know, another million, double it, but he almost lost it. So many of those guys, they're scaling fast. They're doing, you know, they've got their regiment. They're doing things really well. What I've discovered at most guys, if you're a high level earner, if you're a W-2 guy that's probably 150, 200,000 up, or you have your own business and you're generating that revenue, you will understand this more than anybody else. When you get at those places and those levels, it's a very small group of people that you trust. And there's probably nobody in your life that you have on your team that you're able to spitball ideas with. So many of the times when I sit with guys and I call it a partnership in their business, that's exactly what we're doing, because they can't trust people with their problems, because many times they'll use those problems on them. They don't want to burden their you know, maybe they are dating somebody, or maybe they did have a partner. That's not it either, because that could be used against you. And so they're caught in this sort of little world, and many guys will get into masterminds, and those things are helpful. having a day-to-day advisor, so to speak, that's the accelerator. That's the cheat code, because now you're taking what's going on at work, things that are happening, you're dissecting them, you're analyzing them, you're learning from them, you're growing from them. And at the same time, then you take it inside the home and say, cool, how do we set the structure up at home so that I'm not just a ghost? And that's what we're going to deal with. So, because what happens is a lot of guys, they crush it at work, and then at home, they lose it with their kids, right? Patience, or there's guilt about what's going on. There's maybe low energy because they get home. As a client that I work with, he gets, he's finished the day at 3 or 4, gets home and he's just toast. His kids are getting 4% of his life. That's not good. That's not going to help them. We have to get that better. So the leadership drops, and then you get this question, and I've heard this dad say that, their kids will say this: "Dad, you're always busy. Dad, look at me, and they don't know it until they do know it, and then they do know it, and they're like, dang it, how many other times did you miss it? How many other times are your kids asking, tugging, pulling, hey, see this, look at this, let me share this with you? I mean, just last night in my house, my daughter kept coming over and was wanting to show me all the pictures she was drawing. Awesome. And many times I would dismiss it. But now, when I have a very clear vision of what I want for my life, what I want for their life, those moments become memories. Those moments are what you maximize. Those moments are not a distraction. They're not a disturbance. They are the deal. They are what you're going after. Yeah, show me, baby. Show me all those photos. Show me all the pictures you've drawn. Oh, there's 17? Ooh, show me 17 more. I don't want to watch this football game. I want 17 more, 8-year-old drawings to look at. Yeah, with all the colors. Show me more. But you know what happened? And I'm going to go on a tangent here for a second. But yesterday, as we were out, it was a Sunday, and it's a sort of a Sabbath for me. We were just outside all day, doing nothing, walking around, looking at birds and cats and all sorts of stuff in the neighborhood. My daughter comes back in later in the day. She goes, "Oh, that was the best day ever." Dads, that's what we're going for. That's what we're going for. That's what matters most, man. That's what they're going to remember. This was the best day ever. Just by going outside, just by looking at their drawings for a few minutes and sitting with them and sharing with them and loving them. Here's the neuroscience dads about this guy that I was working with and what was going on with him. Chronic stress cuts your emotional regulation capacity by 45%. Your emotional regulation, once that gets crushed, that means that he's scaling without systems, and the worst father he became without noticing. There wasn't somebody in his life that had a stake in the ground and said, hey, you're not here anymore. You've drifted far away. Your nervous system can't lie. The high pressure plus low self-regulation equals emotional shortcuts, tone, irritability, impatience, and collapse. That's not what we wanted. So some of these thoughts, when I was talking with this guy, some of these thoughts sounded like this: if I slow down, I'll lose everything. And so many psychologists would share it like this. They would say the belief, not the business, was the real prison. It's the belief about the business. It's what you're believing about what needs to happen. And something that's a better idea, something that we had to shift with this client, was that if I slow down strategically, I'll lead better elsewhere. And so here's what we had to do with this guy: was we had to start carving out time in his schedule where I said, hey, this is you time. What do you want you time to be? Because if you don't get you time, you're going to be burnt out and you're going to be pissed off, and your kids are going to feel that for the rest of their life. And that's not what you want, right? No, that's not what I want. That's what he said. Okay, great. Then you need to quit managing and doing everything. You need to take an hour or 2 hours and do something what do you want to do? What do you want to do? He lives in Florida. Well, I want to do paddleboarding. I want to hit some golf balls. Great. I want you to turn your phone off. I want you to go paddleboarding. I want you to go hit some golf balls. That's it. That's all I want you to do. Then on the weekend, and we started to build this schedule out. I'll talk more about the schedule of how we began to build this out. But these are intentional things and systems. This goes beyond, I want to be a good dad. That's a great vision. That's a great dream. What's the system behind being a great dad? Because you rise to the level of your dreams or your vision, but you fall to the level of your systems. I did that. I fell. I had no system. I had no strategy, really. I just wanted to be a better dad. And when you are in a marriage, that can kind of work and it can sort of whatever. But if you're going to defy the odds, that's not going to work. And I think you've realized that you've gone enough of life without a system, without a strategy, without accountability. And it's killing you. It's killing you. It's killing your life. It was killing this guy's life. When he didn't have accountability, many of my one-on-one clients, literally they just say, because I know I have to talk to you on Friday or Thursday or Monday, I do the stuff that I say I'm going to do and everything gets better. Accountability is a great gateway drug to freedom. And if that is all you're paying for with a partnership with me and it's getting you the results that you want, 10 times, one of the guys became a millionaire this year, first time in his life, over 60 years old. This isn't a spring chicken. This isn't a guy that bought crypto. This was a long-range business owner, personal revenue. Another guy doubled his revenue, right? Had been doing business for 30 years, had never had a year like that. These are the types of things that I'm saying is when you start to get the internals, when you start to get the systems, when you start to get accountable to the systems, things transform. Many of you guys, you know what it's like when you've had those moments where you lost a lot of weight. You were accountable. You had a system. You followed it. You did it. That's what this is for your life. This is now larger, broader, greater, purposeful for you and your kids. Psalms 90 verse 12 says, teach us to number our days that we gain a heart of wisdom. If you don't have your days numbered, if you don't have a strategy or input of where you're going and what you're doing, you're just blowing time. And whether you're a Christian or you're not a Christian, if you're not a Christian, you'd look at that and say, I can't waste time. I can't blow time. But how much time have you blown this week? How much time have you blown today? How much time have you blown that you wish you could get back, right? If you're on your deathbed and you're looking back, you look back and say, oh, I wish I had that time back. What would you do differently? What if you were urgent now about the discipline? If you were urgent now about your time? That's what I want you to do. I want you to defy the odds. I want you to get crazy, addicted, and obsessed. If you're not in our free school group in the Ascent, where we have these worksheets and frameworks and systems and brotherhood and weekly coaching with me, get in it. It's the least you can do with the greatest reward. It's the same systems I use with my one-on-one clients, the same systems I use with group coaching. All of them are there. If you do the work, it works. So what was going on with this guy? What do? We first had to build a vision. Many of you have heard this before. We had to build a vision. What does the 8-figure business guy do in the morning? What are your habits in the morning? What time are you waking up? What does your day look like? We started to build his calendar out. And now it's awesome because we're tracking it. We have a progress markers, him and I, that we work on together. And there's times when I'll go back and I'll say, did you plan your week? Did you plan the next 3 days? Did you have that in order? And he'd say no. And I said, well, what happened? He goes, man, it was a disaster. We go back, we fine tune, we get things organized and straightened back out so that his schedule follows the direction that he wants to go. Did you need to make these calls with this individual? Which area of the business of the revenue do you need to grow this week, this month? Who needs those phone calls? Who needs the culture? We start working on culture fits in the company because now there's more guys that are coming on. There's more hires. How do you work culture into a growing business? That's what we're doing. Building out culture, building out what he's accountable to, building out his systems for that. And so no longer was it a guess, no longer was it a feel, no longer was it any of those things. They were systems. He got up, he knew exactly what he needed to do. He started creating more one-on-ones with his son, and his daughter were getting older, and he could see that time was slipping by faster than ever. And even more recently, him and I talked, and I said, well, what is it that's standing out to you the most? And he said, I need to spend even more time with my kids. I said, awesome. How do we do that? He said, I think I need to carve out some times on this day and this day. Because what was normally happening when we first started, he'd say, well, one of my Kids is really busy, social activity. It's really hard for me to tie them down and get time with them. And I said, what could you do differently? How could you schedule it? What could you do to make the time? And he began thinking and began scheduling, began working it out. He began to create a system so that his kids were in a cycle where he was getting one-on-one time with them more and more and more. And he wanted to increase it. Well, now when we increase it, we're just scaling the time. Now we have a pattern. Now he has a system. Now he gets in another time of the week to get with him and another time of the week again. And he's realizing that pretty soon these kids are no longer going to be in the house. And that time is gone, and he sends them off. And are they prepared is what he's asking himself. Are they prepared to be sent off? Is he putting in what he needs to put in for them to get where they need to go? He's transforming their life, but he's also transforming his life. Why? Because now he's adding many of those disciplines into his business, into his culture. And now his workers are happier than they ever. They're getting more bids than they've ever gotten before. They're expanding their business in places they never imagined. And he's dreaming into larger scale projects that he never would have imagined. So some of the things that we did quickly was through the facets, when we focused, we clarified what he wanted. We had faith, challenged him on his faith. What does it look like in the morning and night? What does it look like in the day? What is your mouth saying, your mission, your mind? Accountability to him and I, accountability to what he needed to do with his team, with himself, tracking with his kids, tracking times with what he was doing, where he was going. There was a strategy. We shifted from 10-hour reactive days, worked in 3-hour strategic blocks, worked in other intentional blocks of time for his kids. And he just took a step back and he said, wow, I never imagined I would be here. That is what defying the odds looks like, guys. Then his transformation was the revenue went up, his stress went down, his kids were feeling loved. He was hitting all of these markers that he wanted to hit. He was rebuilding greater, and now we're going to stretch even more. We're going to do even more. He's going to be even mentoring and doing other things. So for the sake of time, I'll pause there, and I'm going to give you an audit. I'm going to call it the CEO Audit. For 48 hours, track your tone, your time with your kids, your trigger moments, how fast you reacted, and how present that you are. And then ask yourself, would I hire myself as the CEO of my home? Would you hire yourself, as the CEO of your home? Track 48 hours. What you don't measure, you can't manage. Here's your reflection questions. Dig into them. Where am I scaling at the cost of connection? What belief is driving my burnout? And what would my kids say I value most based on my schedule? Get honest, guys. Just get honest. You can defy the odds. You can. All of those things, all these framework systems are in our school group. Jump in there. Ask questions or whatever it is. You haven't subscribed, please subscribe. The algorithm gets crazy nuts when you do it. And if you add a review, it gets even crazier. It's just a wild, wild adventure on the podcast platforms when you do that. So I want to say thank you in advance. Dads, I believe in you. I pray for you every day. Can't wait to see you on the next one. God bless y'all.